Welcome back. Last time, a quick recap, we made a big pile of cards. We, as a matter of fact, have made a pile of 80 cards. So we're going to go ahead and try to figure out and find if there's some common threads, some things we can put together to turn this pile of 80 cards into a serviceable deck. Yeah, so let's go ahead and we'll start with things on curve. I wish I could get this a little bit higher up for you guys. I'm not certain that there is a feature that will let me take away my collection on this row. I wish there was just a button, and I will submit this to Wizards. If there was a way to just simply look at the cards that I want to look at in the deck full screen, not also have my collection. If there was just one more view, we have this view here where I can pop it over to the right and then it'll come back down. What I want is like just a push this up over into this row, like get rid of this row here showing me my collection and just give me more screen real estate for building my deck. So I apologize in advance. If there is a way to do that, drop it in the comments and let me know I'm an idiot. I have no problem with that and I will fix it for next time. But for now, we're just kind of looking at the bottom half of the screen, unfortunately. The one drops, we have a lot of flexibility and a lot of different directions we can go. The problem, I mean, the good thing is we can deal with anything, right? And that's kind of where we're looking. The trick is we have to kind of figure out what we need to deal with and see if we can handle it. I can tell you from experience that arguably the best deck, one of the most winning decks in the format was Dinosaurs, specifically a red-green version of Dinosaurs, because they had one of the things that made Dinosaurs good and will make it kind of poor out of the gate is you need Drover of the Mighty, you need Otepec Huntmaster, and you need Thunderherd or Thunderherd, whatever it is, Migration. You need all of those cards because you really, really want a ramp spell on 2 so that you can set up your Dino on 3 or getting your 4-drop down on turn 3 or at the very least casting your Ranging Raptor. Doing something, because just going no 1-drop, no 2-drop, or commune, no 2-drop, no 3-drop, is sometimes really hard for the dinosaur decks to come back from. So we do have the advantage of early on dinosaurs will have a lot of trouble kind of dealing with these kind of shaky starts that they can have. So they get other stuff though. They get like Spring to Mind to search for lands, which isn't fantastic, but it's something. So we want to be able, like, cards like Opt are kind of our bread and butter, and very much a card I would consider burning a wild card to get an additional copy of, because this is kind of your deck grease. It's going to let you find what you need. That's very important if we stick in blue. Unsummon's kind of specific. It's not spectacular. It deals nicely with any kind of token generation, which is nice. I did refill my beverage. We're still on SoCo and Lime, by the way. That's kind of nice. You know, great. We get to unsummon their guy. It's not always great. It's kind of... At 1 mana, it's not bad. I'm thinking this is probably going to be a cut for us because we're not really a tempo deck, and this works out much better in a tempo deck than a dedicated control deck. If we get an additional bounce spell, just kind of, you know, maybe something like a... like Consign to Oblivion, much more powerful, much more flexible. For 1 more mana, we're doing the same thing, but we get to open that up to non-land permanent. So there's a lot more options there. We can bounce the artifacts into Control Mirror. You know, when we have 7 mana, we can just bop something back to their hand and make them discard it, like a very expensive version of Recoil from Invasion or Denrova Horror for you newer players. So, you know, I think this is a much better effect than the Unsummon, so I think that's easy to kick back out of the deck right away. Magma Spray is 100% in. It's an awesome removal spell. Direfleet Poisoner, I think, is too shaky for our deck. As much as I like, you know, early drops to make sure that we stay in the game and don't just immediately get kind of run out of the streets, I don't think this card is necessarily for us. It interacts nicely with Freebooter, but it has no other real interaction in our deck. So the additional Pirate getting Death Touch and a bump is not great, so that one's kind of coming out for us. Dusk Legion's fantastic. Freebooter's fantastic. I like Censor. I don't know as though I would run more than 2 copies. I like that it cycles, so it can't always be a dead card late game. It can just simply, for 1 mana, you turn it away into something else. Pretty nice. I'm not hating that. Chart a Course. like I said before, is not bad. We're definitely light in the early creature drop department, though. So it's not spectacular, but unfortunately, in a world where we're scrambling to keep cards to give, to get through our deck, we have to play this card. Essence Scatter, I think, is fine. I don't know if it'll make the cut. I'm not necessarily in for counter target creature spell. It's kind of good. I don't know. I'm up in the air with it. I'm not going to get rid of it right now. Expel from Mirazka is not bad. The May part, if you have the City's Blessing, is really cool. Because you can still just bounce your own permanent if you're really in a pinch, and you don't have to put it on top of your library. So there's a lot of options with it, but like a bounce spell, like I said, we just get so much more out of a kind of a bounce spell later on that I don't think this is for us. And again, it's not like we are on City's Blessing like right away. We're not that kind of style of deck, so I think we're going to go ahead and drop that one. Negate, Essence Scatter. It's either we're going to run some number of those or we're going to lean more on Cancel. In the 3-color deck, I'm definitely more hesitant leaning on Cancel than I am leaning on either Essence Scatter or Negate, and it just depends on what we're more afraid of. Chances are we'll have more just generic creature removal, so we'll be less afraid of creatures than we will non-creature permanents, which are very pesky to deal with in this format and can be very powerful. So in the blind, I'd say that Essence Scatter is going to get cut. Negate would probably stay, but I'm not 100% on that yet. Moment of Craving is fantastic. Walk the Plank is fine. It may come out if black's our lightest color. That may come out, and right now it looks like we're like a red-blue deck, a red-blue deck, and is it build with a black splash, so we really have to be careful of how many black mana symbols we have. I could be wrong, and as we go, we could, change some things up. Braid is so good. Lightning Strike is so good. Melody is really good. Pull from Tomorrow is really good. Pull from Tomorrow, I think, is going to be one of the more powerful cards in our deck. That's definitely a card I don't mind. If we're that heavy blue, I will not mind keeping leaning towards Cancel over either Essence Scatter or Negate. It just depends too on our 3-drops as well. Like, how many 3-drops do we want to be jamming on 3? Champion of Wits, I don't think is really going to work out for us. Playing a creature, then drawing 2 and losing one of those cards means it replaces itself with a bit of selection, which is kind of cool. It's a 2/1. It eternalizes for 7 if the game gets grindy. It's not all that impressive a blocker, and again, they're just going to kill it on the spot if we present it for the most part, because we're right now, other than the champion and our 2-drops as far as creatures, our 1-drops don't exist. Creatures do not exist in our 1-drop. We have 2 Dust Legion Zealot and a Kite Sail Freebooter. Our 1-drop, or our 2-drop, sorry. 3 2-drops. 3 2-drop creatures. That could be an argument in favor of the champion, if you think about it that way, because we need to present more blockers. So I'm not ready to cut it yet, but I am definitely... I think we're going to have enough 3s that it's going to come back and get cut, but I'm not 100% on that yet. Kefnet, he's good. He's cool. He requires something very specific. I don't know if there's enough time in this format to dirtle around with Kefnet. So, while I was on the fence with Champion, I think Kefnet's almost certainly a cut, unfortunately. Awesome card, and a card I'm, stoked about in Commander, but not a card that is, for us in this kind of a deck. In a Control Mirror, he's going to look insane, but again, we're playing just one-game matches, unfortunately, so it's against a Merfolk deck, against a Pirate deck, against a Vampire deck. Kefnet is a joke. So especially because all those decks I just named all have a precon, I just can't risk that. Sailor of Means is really good. He blocks impressively, he blocks ahead of his curve. He makes treasure. He fixes your mana a little bit with the treasure. He does a lot. It's really surprising how flexible the Sailor is. So I think he can stick around for now. Bloodwater Entity lets us begin to recycle some of the cards we pitched earlier in the game. So if we need another crack at a card draw spell, if we need, it just lets us recur anything. It's pretty powerful. It's got flying and prowess, so it can be a bit of a clock. I think it's very good. Enigma Drake, like I said before, is basically our win condition in this deck. He's awesome. He's not getting cut. Gale Strike, again, I think we're able to get rid of that for the same reasons I said before. Hornswoggle's too expensive to keep up. Supreme Will is excellent. This is exactly what we want. This would be what I would play if I were to play a counterspell, most likely. It's a counterspell or it's an impulse, and that is awesome. Awesome amount of flexibility. Really good card. I would love to have more than one of these, and I would definitely consider spending an uncommon wild card to get another. If we go with Supreme Will, chances are we're out on cancel. Maybe a singleton if we really need it. But the Supreme Will makes me definitely want to drop Essence Scatter and Negate. Or maybe I drop cancel, I keep a singleton Negate and drop Essence Scatter. So I'm going to go for that, because the flexibility of an additional 2-drop is nice. So we'll drop down to a Miser's Copy of Negate. We'll keep that Supreme Will there. Secrets of the Golden City, I don't think we have time for 3 of those, but 2 of them are definitely good. The more you have, the more you're inclined to throw one away for 2 cards, which is fine. But I'd prefer not to do that. Heartless Pillage, I think we have to get rid of in a world where we can play Consign to Oblivion. It just doesn't do quite enough, and our raid's going to be triggered so infrequently that the treasure's not going to do much for us, in my opinion. Reaver Ambush is great removal. We'll definitely keep that. Golden Demise is absurd in certain matchups, so we will definitely be keeping that. Vizier of Many Faces, again, it's a creature that comes down as potentially the best creature on the board, and it embalms for 1 more mana. So if we need to discard it for an effect, we can still use it. So I think it's extremely versatile and flexible. Bone Picker Staying, we talked a lot about him. Chupacabra is fantastic. Hieroglyphic Illumination is wonderful. I think it's worth trying it out. It may prove to be a little clunky with Secrets of the Golden City as well, so that it may just be that Illumination is flat out way better than Secrets of the Golden City. Entirely possible, but in a world where I only have 2 of each, I'm going to try to keep 2 around for now. Kumena's Awakening, I think, is just a little too cute for right now. I don't think we're going to be hitting the City's Blessing too quickly, and we're not going to cast it without it. So I just don't think it's worth having a card that needs to sit in our hand for a lot of turns. That's just a flat loss against some of the more aggro decks of the format. Impale is solid. It's not it's not Vraska's Contempt, that's for sure. I think it's a little too slow. I think we need to look towards something better. Open Fire or Bombard, maybe. That may be the way to go, I think. Not a big fan of the 4 mana, especially double black. It also, to me, fully feels like we are very much... Black is our 3rd color. And we are much more an is-it-based style deck at the moment. So that makes me definitely want to drop the Impale and just keep our double black spells to Chupacabra and Golden Demise. And probably that means we drop Walk the Plank as well. So... let's drop to Impale. Let's go ahead and drop that Walk the Plank. On 5, we have Unfriendly Fire, which I think is extremely weak now that Open Fire is there. Open Fire better than Unfriendly Fire by a long shot, and especially with both in the common slot, I think Open Fire is just 100% better. 4 Butts may be a thing, but I didn't see too many running through it, at least in those colors, that it's like, oh no, 4 Butt. And we have other removal if we really need it. We have the Chupacabra as unconditional removal. Other than that, though, we do have to either use Entrancing Melody or string a couple removal spells together as kind of the downfall of a deck like this. It's got a 4 button, a low toughness. We can get it with our Reaver Ambush. It is possible. So it's a little dicey right now in the early stages of where we're at with the deck. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that Unfriendly Fire probably will not make the cut. We have better options. Consign to Oblivion, I already talked about. Super flexible, super good card. I would definitely consider putting another in the deck. Tetsamok's pretty darn solid. Unfortunately, he's on our splash color. Even with that being said, I still think it may be worth keeping Tetsamok in, because he's a 6/6 with Death Touch, because at the bare minimum can come in and blow up a guy. If we have 3 black, we can use the Prey counter and then cast Tetsamok. That's not asking a ton, I don't think. And Burning Sun's Avatar comes in, kills a dude, puts some pressure on our opponent life total-wise immediately out of the gate, and then is a giant force to be reckoned with on the board. I think that's very much a card to consider keeping in for the minute. So there we have it. At the moment, we are at 67 cards. So we do have to trim, and granted, we're not going to run 26 land. We're probably going to run about 24 land. So let's drop Desert of the Glorified, because we're not going to be cycling it on our splash color. If near dead lands, this may be the black source we want. It means we'll have to run a little bit more in the way of black sources than would be warranted based on what we have in black. But I think right now I'm happy to keep it. Submerged Boneyard, I'm definitely going to be cutting, along with Cinder Barons, I think, will be cut as well. As far as colors go, we're looking at 2 ops, so 2, 3, 4, 5 mana symbols. I count mana symbols and divide by 2. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 blue mana symbols, so you want to round that up 1. 24, divide that in half, we want 12 blue sources. So we will definitely have 4 Evolving Wilds. No question about that. Arch may not make it in our deck. I'm not a big fan of it in more than 2 colors. I think in 1 or 2 color control decks, I think it's awesome. Even dinosaurs, I think, can get away, like green-red dinosaurs can get away with running a Singleton Arch. I think it's very powerful. So I'm definitely more inclined to keep a Submerged Boneyard than I am Cinder Barons. So we'll drop Cinder Barons. I don't know about Highland Lake yet. So that puts us up to 19. We have no basic land, so we need to consider that. So we wanted 12 blue sources. 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we definitely want some basic islands. There's no question about that. At least 2 or 3. What do we want to cut? Probably go down to 2 Boneyard, 2 Lake. I think that's fine. Let's look at red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 red sources, or 13 red symbols. Bump that up to 14, we'll need 7 red sources. So we have 4 off the Evolving Wilds, 2 off the Desert Lake. I think we're off every cycling land except for blue. We're going to have the most blue mana, no question. So I think we want to bump up the island count. Then we want to jump to mountains. Go like that. I think that looks more correct. So we got 3, 7, 8, 9. 9 red sources, not bad. Maybe a little much. But we can, I'd rather have too much than not enough. I definitely need a couple swamps to be able to get with the Evolving Wilds. So we need to be mindful of that. We can drop 1 island. And I do believe we have a deck. 65. Okay, so we need to trim a little bit more. Now what we're looking to do is we're looking to shore up and make sure the deck can consistently do a thing. Can we consistently draw cards? Opt, Dusk Legion Zealot, Chart a Course, Pull from Tomorrow, which we have 2 of, so it's 5 ways to draw cards. With 2 Opt, 2 Zealot is 4. Chart a Course is 5. 2 Pull from Tomorrow is 7. Champion of Wits is 9. We can technically count Bloodwater Entity as a way to draw cards if we want. Supreme Will. Yeah. Secrets. We have a ton of ways to draw cards in this deck. We will not be short on ways to draw cards. It makes me kind of want to drop Secrets of the Golden City, or maybe knock it down to 1. Maybe it's Charter Course that we drop. I don't know. I feel like we're not doing a whole lot on 2. With 13 options. I guess we have 13 options on 2, but 3 of them, are Melodies and Pull from Tomorrow, so we really only have 10 options on 2 that we're looking to cast. So I think we definitely need to consider keeping Charter Course just for curve considerations. I'm going to drop both Secrets and try to keep in the Champion for now. We don't draw a ton of cards, necessarily. Like, we don't have one card that's just drawing us tons outside of Pull from Tomorrow, and I think that's more than enough. Can we consistently deal with control decks? Right now, our answer to control decks are Duress and the Oblivion side of Consigned to Oblivion. So that's a little lean. Let's take a look at some artifacts and see what we can get. Let me take off blue and take a look and see what we have in the way of artifacts at our disposal. Sentinel Totem, Crook of Condemnation, Shadowed Caravel, Watchers of the Dead, Edifice of Authority, Fell Flagship. Fell Flagship's awesome. Hazard's Monument, not really what we're in for. Pirate's Cutlass, not what we're in for. Primal Amulet is definitely a card we could run. Doesn't smooth us out too much. Unfortunately. Yeah, nothing really going on in the way of smoothing in that regard. I do like the Primal Amulet in a deck that's casting a boatload of instants and sorceries. Twin casting a burn spell can just be a flat-out win condition in this deck. So let's try it. It's a Miser's Copy. I know we're putting in cards when we're trying to trim. We've successfully trimmed 1 card so far, which is not great. All right, let's take a look at our 3 drops. Champion of Wits, Sailor of Means, Bloodwater Entity, Enigma Drake, Supreme Will, Reaver Ambush, all seem great. Golden Demise is great. Bone Picker. I've talked about how awesome this guy is. I guess enough of our removal kills. I was a little worried about Reaver Ambush exiling. But that's the only one that exiles, so I guess there is enough now to consider him still a good card. Or a card that's worth a slot. Illumination's great. Amulet we just put in. I'd hate to cut it, but maybe. Hour of Devastation. And we have 2 Elder Dinosaurs as our win cons. It's hard to say where to cut. Duress is one of the only unique discard outlets we have, so it's rough to cut. Well, I guess that and Freebooter are our discard outlets. It's hard to say. That's how we deal with control decks. Our answers to creatures are a lot more prevalent. I think Censor may be kind of crappy. Let's cut the single negate, leave the Censor for now, because it does cycle, so it is a way to draw more cards if we need it. It's a tough call because we do want to be able, again, we do want that flexibility. A control deck needs to be able to do things. It needs to be able to hit its land drops. So the 24 land are definitely not a place we're looking to trim. Hour seems insane. Insane. I don't want to get rid of that as a board wipe. Same reason I want to get rid of the Golden Demise. Tetsamok, again, we're pretty light on black sources. We have 10 black sources in the deck. Put our cards, 10 ways to get black in the deck. 12 with the Sailor of Means. It's enough that I consider Tetsamok, but he might be a little dirtily, I'm not sure. But the problem is we don't have a lot of win conditions. And like right now, our win conditions are literally 2 cards. And a Singleton Lightning Strike. Like, we've got nothing as far as getting the game over with. And one of the things, Vizier can help get the game over with. There's no question about that. And Eternalizing either of these cards are also a way to do some stuff. But I can promise you, ways control decks easily lose in this format are to fool around for far too long with your card draw and your card selection and whatever, and then never do anything effective. we really need to make sure that we are in a position where we're doing something worthwhile. So that's very important. And also, we need to make sure early on we're getting to our colors. 3 colors is no joke, especially the way we're split up. We're definitely blue-red with black, but it's not like blue-red and 2 black cards. We have a fair few amount of black cards. Until we increase our red or increase our black, we need to be careful about how we build. I just really think red's good in a respect of its removal solid with magma spray and abrade. I think those are great pieces of removal. I think Lightning Strike's flexible. I think the Entity and the Drake are both great win conditions. I think Hour's absurd. And I think Avatar may just be bad. I don't know in our deck. But he's a 6/6. And he just, you know what I mean? Like, it's more flexibility. It's more win cons. I just don't see him being the card we drop. I'm thinking it may be Duress, but Duress is good in a more controlling shell, and being able to take cards out of their hand and also get information is very powerful. Sailor Means is pretty anemic in our deck. He provides a little bit of fixing, but he doesn't do much else. He blocks, which is not to say he doesn't do anything. They also can trigger Raid for our Charticourse, which is kind of nice. Entrancing Melody's a little pricey. It might be worth dropping. We have enough removal to deal with things we've gone over. We have enough draw. So I'm thinking this is probably... Like, this is good later once people start getting better cards. Like, this deals with the cards that require multiple answers. It steals a God card. It steals a Phoenix. It steals a lot of things that are hard to answer cleanly. It answers cleanly for us, so it might be worth keeping as a Miser's copy. But with so many Miser's copies in this build already because of the nature of our collection, I hesitate to want to keep Entrancing Melody on the main. So I think we're just going to go ahead and drag it over to the sideboard. As, you know, we use the sideboard more as like a maybe board of, oh yeah, maybe we got rid of that before, maybe we should look back at it. And I think that's definitely one of those cards. And I think we still need to cut, 2 more cards. Not easy. It's almost like cutting from a limited deck that you know is pretty solid on a good curve, because my gut is telling me we need to cut a 3, but our 3s are all pretty darn good. 6 4s is a little gluttonous, but when 2 of them cycle, and one of them can come down for a singleton black, is pretty insane. Like, it's really good. And even like just Dust Legion Zealot can block and get thrown away, or attack it can make a bad attack, and then the Bone Picker can come down, and just, it's a ton of flexibility there. I'm really hesitant to drop lands, especially when we have 2 If Near Dead lands and a Desert of the Mindful. Though I could drop a singleton If Near Dead lands and try to run 23. I'm not a big fan of that in Control. I feel like you really need at least 24. If anything, we should go up to 25 with flexible lands in our land pile, like Field of Ruin and If Near Dead lands. So I don't want to cut there still. Oh man, this is rough. It's like you just want to kind of jam a game so you can see where the clunk is. And that's really what it is, because as far as just flexibility and versatility, I think we're there. We just need to figure out what's too clunky, what looks bad in an opening hand, what's not giving us what's not going the distance for us. I really think Tetsamok might be the problem. Yeah, I'm going to drop Tetsamok. It's a harsh cut. I love Tetsamok. I should have slid him over the maybe board, but I do like me a Tetsamok. I'm sorry, Tetsamok. I failed you today. And we just need one more. We can get there. Maybe it's the Primal Amulet we put in. Yeah, let's drop that, because it's kind of a cute card. It's more cute than good. I haven't played it. I've seen people play it, and I've definitely gotten beaten by it. But I think it's maybe a little bit more cute than good. So that's what we're looking at right now. I'll pop the list over here, and for whatever reason, it's because, okay. This is a little ugly to look at, so let's go back to the other view. Here's what we're looking at. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take some actual games next and see if we can get anywhere with this. But for now, that's what I have. Again, Supraliminal Games. My name is Max. And again, I want to thank you guys for taking the time, watching the video. If you liked it, give me a like. If you want to see something specific, leave me a comment. I'm happy to do whatever you guys tell me to do. I am at your disposal. Just let me know if you like it. Let me know if you disliked it. Let me know you would have liked it if I hadn't done this. Let me know if you would have, you didn't really like it until I did this. Any suggestions you have, we are happy to take them at Supraliminal Games. So just please let us know. Until next time, adios.